Welcome to episode number 3 of the End of Life Journey series. The topic that will be covered in this session is voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, known as VSED. Sometimes a person decides to just stop eating. That's called VSE, or voluntarily stopping eating. There are reasons for making that choice, which I will share with you later. Hello, my name is Leanna, and I'm here to share my lived experiences on this topic. This material is for educational purposes only. I do not encourage, promote, or endorse any specific course of action. I'm here to provide you with information which may help you make the informed decisions that will best meet your needs and wishes as you experience your end-of-life journey. Only you can make those choices. I encourage you to use this information to further investigate circumstances and services in your area, because healthcare is a provincial and territorial responsibility, and each is unique. These videos are meant to be a starting place to help you map out your journey and deal with any roadblocks you may encounter along the way. In Canada, it's legal for a person to refuse any form of medical treatment and nourishment, including food and liquids, regardless of age. Even people who are classified as mature minors qualify under the law. A mature minor is someone under the age of majority, which is considered to be 18 in most provinces. There are some exceptions where the age of majority ranges between 16 and 19. It's best to check the specific area where you live. Generally speaking, a mature minor can be as young as 14 or even 12. A mature minor must be deemed to be sufficiently mature enough to understand all the conditions and circumstances surrounding the issues and have the consent of their parents and guardians. If a mature minor wanted to make this choice without their parents' or guardians' consent, it would have to be done through the courts. The reason I mention this is to help everyone understand that death and end-of-life choices can occur at any age. Contrary to most people's beliefs, death is not just for the elderly. Dying is something that can occur at any age. Sadly, even infants and the very young children can't die. The process of stopping eating and drinking is called voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, or VSED. In some instances, a person just chooses to stop eating. Then the process is called voluntarily stopping eating, or VSE. There are reasons for choosing one over the other, and they primarily involve issues about time and cognizance or mental awareness. I will revisit this in greater detail later in the video. According to experts, choosing this path to death is most like the body's natural way to die, in that it is a gradual shutting down of the body's systems. Unlike a DNR, a do not resuscitate order, which is a passive approach to death, VSED is a conscious and active decision about how to die. It is often supported by hospice and geriatric facilities, unlike MAID, medical assistance in dying, which is a newer choice and still surrounded by controversy in some situations. If this is an end-of-life choice option you are considering, it's important to understand the process and facts surrounding this type of death and know that you have the support of your medical team as well as your family and friends. People who are mentally sound, not being coerced by anyone else, and are nearing the end of life due to chronic or terminal illness may consider these paths as an option to their end-of-life journey. It's very important to have the support of your medical team at this time, as they can help you manage the pain and other unpleasant physical symptoms that you will experience as your body shuts down and you die. These symptoms will include the following: thirst and dry mouth, which will require additional oral hygiene, such as brushing your teeth or gargling, as long as you don't swallow. Even ice chips or small sips of water will prolong the dying process. That will be an individual choice that only you can make. Hunger, stomach pain, gastrointestinal upset, less frequent urination, dysuria, which is a pain during urination, weakness and progressive physical disability, pain, fatigue, increased sleep, delirium, and unconsciousness. These symptoms will vary and they will gradually appear over a period of days. As a reference, I found a good website called Compassion and Choices that lays out the process very clearly. It's an American-based organization, but the information is general, so it will act as a good guideline for the general process. I'll attach that link at the end of the video. Using this strategy, death can occur within days or weeks. It will depend on the individual, their specific medical problems, and how close they already are to death. Your medical team can give you information that is more specific to your situation. A few months after my late husband had died, and I had had numerous opportunities to speak about our lived experience in the media, I was approached by a person facing their end-of-life journey who wanted to share their story with me because we both suffered from fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a disorder that causes widespread body pain, weakness, extreme fatigue, sleep, memory, and mood disorders, to mention but a few of the many symptoms associated with this hideous illness. Famous people such as Lady Gaga, Sinead O'Connor, and Morgan Freeman have shared their life-altering experiences since developing fibromyalgia. The latest research indicates that it may have links to autoimmune diseases, malfunction of the pain center in the brain, and microinflammation in the soft tissues such as muscles, ligaments, and tendons. In my own personal experience, this condition is and has been degenerative. I have periods of stability where symptoms seem to plateau, followed by times when the symptoms become severe and flare-ups occur. I developed severe symptoms 27 years ago. Although looking back over my life, I recognize there may have been disease markers as far back as my teens. My diagnosis took about 2 years, but it can take much longer. There are 3 other disorders that are often comorbid and exist alongside fibromyalgia. They are chronic migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, and costochondritis, which is a swelling of the tissues of the chest wall. An individual might have none, any one, several, or all of these conditions that occur alongside fibromyalgia. I personally have 2 of the coexisting medical problems, irritable bowel syndrome and costochondritis. The person who reached out to me had chronic migraines associated with her fibromyalgia. My experience has been that when the fibromyalgia flares up, it triggers flares in other comorbid disorders, as well as making the situation much more difficult to manage. The person who reached out to me was a doctor who had been forced to retire from their profession, like me, as their condition deteriorated. They had moved back to their hometown to be near family and friends. It was a rural French-Canadian community with strong ties to the Roman Catholic Church. Because of this, they wanted to keep their medical problems private. They were concerned that their family and friends might end up being shunned or harassed if any of their issues or decisions became public knowledge. They needed to talk and felt that because of my lived experience, my late husband was also French-Canadian and originally Roman Catholic, I was someone who would understand their unique problems. For 18 months, we communicated through the internet, having many lengthy discussions. During that time, that person decided to apply for a medically assisted death and submitted a 30-page document outlining their medical problems, including multiple tests and second opinions, to support their decision to have made as their end-of-life choice. Unfortunately, the MAID committees turned down their request, and they were offered no recourse. After the requests were denied, the doctor entered a particularly severe fibromyalgia flare, which left them bedridden with chronic migraines for 6 months. At this point, they had no quality of life. Their long days were filled with excruciating pain that prevented them from even getting out of bed. Their strength and fortitude were amazing, but eventually they became overwhelmed by their condition and decided to end their life. Because they had been denied MAID, they chose to voluntarily stop eating, known as VSE. They opted to continue drinking, knowing that it would prolong their suffering and death, because to them it was important that they remain alert and in control of their mental faculties right up to the end. As a doctor, they wanted to donate their body to medical research surrounding fibromyalgia, so they felt it was important to have a clear mind. A group of us tried to find a facility that was doing fibromyalgia research and would take their body, but unfortunately, there wasn't anyone at that time. We fought hard right up until the last minute, but unfortunately, we were unable to fulfill that request. At that point, the medical doctor, who had become a friend at a distance, gave me their entire medical file and history. They asked that I tell their story as I had my husband's and share their medical information if it became appropriate at some point in the future. They died a couple of days later after 3 long weeks of suffering, with dignity, on their own terms, as they had wished, surrounded by family and close friends. From my own experience, fibromyalgia with its comorbid disorders is an extremely challenging diagnosis to live with. My husband often lamented that it seemed unfair that he could access death with dignity on his own terms because his death was imminent due to the cancer. However, I would be forced to suffer in excruciating pain, much like my doctor friend, until my life had no more quality and I simply existed day to day with no quality of life for decades. Fortunately, in the latest revision to the MAID legislation, the clause that required death to be imminent or close has been removed, and now only the individual can determine whether their quality of life has become so low that a medically assisted death is an option. Since entering palliative care, I have learned that many chronically or terminally ill patients, elderly people in particular, make VSED their end-of-life choice. It is essential that this be done with the care and support of family and your medical team. You will need around-the-clock care and medical support to manage your symptoms as your body makes the transition through death to whatever comes next. If VSED or VSE is your end-of-life choice, please do further research and discuss this option with everyone concerned. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope the information I have provided will help you map out an end-of-life journey that meets your unique needs. All the links I have mentioned in the video will be in the description down below. Please like and subscribe to this end-of-life video series if you have found it helpful. Make sure to share this with others so we can truly engage Canadians in this conversation about death and dying with dignity on our own terms.